Hi, everyone, and welcome to the Soul Illumination reading for the sign of Virgo. This is I Am Illuminated tarot reading for Soul Illumination. And that's exactly what we're going to be looking at in today's reading, Virgo. We're going to be looking at what your soul would most like to illuminate for you at this time. Once we pull that card, we'll dive a little bit deeper into that area of focus. We'll look at a block or a challenge that's coming up for you in that area. We'll look at advice from spirit as to how to overcome that. And then we will look at a level of abundance or spiritual growth that wants to come in for you in that area of focus. Now, right off the bat here, Virgo, this is the energy that you're coming into this reading with. We have the Nine of Cups, we have the Six of Swords, we have the Five of Swords, and we have the Queen of Pentacles. So for some of you, there's a little bit of there's a resistance to moving on from something in the past that had been a wish fulfillment. With the Five of Swords, that can be the energy that's a little combative. It can be where we're trying to either get the last word in, we don't want to hear another's opinion, or we're just kind of in this general defensive energy. Now, with the Queen of Pentacles coming in, the Queen of Pentacles is mother energy. It's the energy of Capricorn, which is interesting because Capricorn as a sign actually represents more of the paternal or the father, the divine father archetype. But the Queen of Pentacles can also be seen as the patient, devoted mother as well. She is focused on what she's growing. She understands that anything worth having or growing is going to take time. So that's where she's in this very kind of nurturing, patient energy. She is someone who also really understands how to manage her own resources as well. Now, I get the feeling here, and actually let me just pull, before we dive a little bit deeper into this, let me pull your additional cards here, and then we'll dive into the full reading here, Virgo. Now, there's a little bit here for some of you, I think, of maybe not moving on from a heartstream. There's almost a sense of there's something you still want. There's a dream in your heart, and there's almost like this feeling of, I should just let it go. And it could be around becoming a parent. It could have something to do with allowing yourself to fully embrace that energy. It could be, something along the lines of maybe you want to become a parent, and maybe something in your life experience has either prevented you from experiencing parenthood or from nurturing something you really want to grow in this experience. And it's almost like, do I give up on the dream, or do I stand and defend my right to continue to have this? I don't normally see, if it was the Seven of Wands, I think I would look at that a little bit differently, because the Seven of Wands is more like, I want to defend my position. Is it worth it for me to defend the action I'm choosing to take? Now, with the Five of Swords, it's almost like sometimes I can be seen as, somebody who wants to win at all costs or get the last word in, or someone who's just kind of pushing everyone away. I'm getting the feeling more as I'm sitting with this energy for many of you that there's a sense here of almost having to defend your position, you're getting into the stance of, I want to protect what I'm nurturing. I want to protect. I don't want to give up on that dream. I don't want to move on from my heart's desire, because the Nine of Cups speaks to having a lot to be grateful for, but there's that last cup before we get to the Ten of Cups. And the Ten of Cups is our ultimate heart's fulfillment. It's that touching a little piece of heaven on earth. It can be seen as the happy family card. But the Nine of Cups, there's that one cup missing, and that is that final kind of wish to the divine of, I would love it if. Everything would be even more perfect if. And the Six of Swords speaks to moving on. So for some of you, there might have been kind of this feeling of, I should move on from a dream, a wish that my heart has kind of made. Or do I stand and defend and continue to nurture what I really want to grow in this experience? For some of you, this could be defending a sense of, wanting, again, to become a parent, or wanting to focus more on being a parent. This could be, when we think of Queen of Pentacles, the seed she's holding doesn't have to be a child necessarily. This could literally be a business she's growing. This could be a home environment she wants to expand. This could be anything that she wants to put her dedicated time and energy towards, but that's in alignment with a heart's fulfillment. There's a sense of putting that time and energy towards a goal that Capricorn is so good at setting and obtaining, but doing so from a place of emotional connection. And what's interesting is that in between this, we have swords, which is the mind kind of getting in the way of what the heart, I think, is yearning for. And now we have more swords in what your soul is illuminating for you. So that's the mind here is very important at this time for you, Virgo, which makes sense because you are a sign that is ruled by Mercury. Mercury does rule our thoughts. It rules communication. And it will be going retrograde this month on, I think it's the 16th, 15th or 16th of this month in December. So there's a sense of us getting prepared for the slowing down of what is normally a very fast progressing energy. Mercury is, again, the winged messenger. There's a sense of quick communication. Now, when it goes into retrograde, this is when that energy slows down and we have to kind of almost internalize it. Now, you're doing that very much so here. The Four of Swords is internalizing that energy. This is the individual who is going off on their own to take a break, to allow for themselves to kind of have that rest, that rejuvenation, to get introspective, to take a look at, with the Four of Swords specifically, looking at the pain of the past. So you can see there's 3 swords here on the wall, and there's the 1 sword laying next to this individual who's in repose. Now the 3 swords indicate the wounds and the heartbreak and the heartache of the past. And the 1 sword laying next to this individual is the sword of truth that the individual reconnects with, the clarity of what they can leave behind when they get up out of this time of reflection, meaning leaving the pain of the past, leaving those wounds, leaving even possibly the failures that kind of continue to haunt you in that mental plane. And you get to walk forward with clarity of your own personal truth. Now, really, I think for you right now, what's being highlighted is getting into this place of introspection, because right now there's a sense of kind of fighting yourself from moving on from something, and there needs to become clarity in that. I think in that clarity that comes from the Four of Swords is going to allow you to see again, I think clearly, what's the Nine of Cups wish, and how is that directly related to Queen of Pentacles, something that you want to continue to nurture and grow. Now, at the bottom of the deck, which is beautiful, your underlying energy is the Magician. Now, underneath that, we have the Eight of Wands, and then we have the Seven of Cups. So for many of you, the Magician is just beautiful energy to have, the underlying energy in general, and now it's interesting because this is also, this card represents the energy of Gemini, so another Mercury ruled sign. So there's a sense of, again, getting connected to the thoughts, getting connected to communication. But with the Magician, this is also getting connected to what you, as the Magician in your own life, uniquely bring to your experience. There's a sense of getting reconnected to how you manipulate and work with all of the different aspects of our experience, and getting kind of almost like receiving that divine download from the divine, or from, the universe. Now, underneath that, with the Eight of Wands and the Seven of Cups, there's a sense here that maybe for a while, many of you were kind of lost in I wouldn't say a delusion. This is more of like an illusion of there's so many opportunities out there for emotional fulfillment, or there's so many opportunities for things that I could do or discover about myself on an emotional level. And sometimes we can get stuck kind of in a place of, how do I choose? This could be in relationships. This could be in trying to find a career path that fits you. And there's that sense of like, but what if I choose wrong? What if I go for this and it's actually not something I love? Or what if I try to go for that and it's actually not something I love? And you can get into this place of either almost like too much daydreaming, where there's no action being taken, or you get into the place of kind of that hyper focus of, I don't want to choose wrong, so I'm not going to commit to anything. And then you're kind of sitting in this like emotionally disconnected limbo. But with the Eight of Wands coming in, there's a sense of fast movement, of kind of quick communication possibly, or just a lot of things happening that suddenly have taken you to this place of almost like reconnecting to yourself. Like it's almost like taking you out of the fog of illusion. And this could be that something, all of a sudden, as you're kind of sitting there going, I don't know what I want to do, or I don't know all of a sudden, we have planets. So we actually did have Neptune that has been retrograde for quite some time. It did just recently go direct. So there could be a sense for many of us of that fog kind of lifting, of that sense of, because Neptune is very watery, it can be a a planet that brings about kind of a sense of illusion or what might not be correct, or let's say perceived correctly. And there could be a little bit of that influence coming in here. But I do feel more than anything, it's more like stuff started happening. It could even be that you got a quick communication from somebody and all of a sudden you're like, it shook you out of this kind of almost like stupor, which is interesting that word kind of came in for me. Whatever happened here with the Eight of Wands, where it was kind of like, let's like go, do, or lots of communication coming in, it kind of reawakened the reconnection to the self, because the Magician is the number one in the major arcana in the tarot. It is the start, the official start of the individual going through all 21 cards of the major arcana. So there's a sense of that coming through of like, okay, here I am again in my story. And that can definitely, when you kind of reemerge as the hero in your own story again, there can be that sense with the Four of Swords of it's time to reflect. It's time to look at what you've gone through, and it's time to, as the hero in your own story now, to put aside that pain of the past or the fears that come from previous failures or heartbreak, and to really stand in the truth of your own, or stand in the power of your own truth. So let's go here, and I'm going to pull some additional cards. Now we're going to look at the blocker challenge around the Four of Swords. We're going to look at advice from Spirit, and then we'll look at the level of abundance or spiritual growth that wants to come in for you. And I'll pull some additional clarifiers, so we'll dive a little deeper into all of these cards as well. And then I'll pull a final card to kind of wrap up the reading for you, Virgo. So let's see here. What does Virgo need to know? Whoa, that is way too many here. I'm going to see if I can get that to come out cleaner, because a whole bunch kind of fell in my lap at the same time. So let's see if we can get that to come out a little cleaner, please. All right, there we go. Okay, so we have the King of Pentacles and the Queen of Swords. All right, so the King of Pentacles is Taurus energy, but it can also be the energy of the individual who is really focused on their physical experience, especially when we consider tied to finances, tied to what they value. It's someone who is very focused on, let's say, maintaining a certain level of income, managing the finances of a home or a family. It can be someone who's also very focused, again, on working or making sure that they get a return on their investments. Now, it's interesting that we have the Queen of Swords here in your internal energy, and we have the King of Swords, or I'm sorry, Queen of Pentacles here and the King of Pentacles here. So there's a sense here of, maybe for some of you, there is a time now of moving out of the masculine energy of the Pentacles. So the King of Pentacles, he is, as all kings are in the tarot, there's a sense of the divine masculine coming in, which the divine masculine principle is all about initiating. It's all about kind of leadership, taking the lead, taking the reins to move forward, to initiate. Now, queens are more about sitting back and receiving, holding space for what they want to bring more of into their experience. And so for many of you, I think there's a sense of circumstances and a reconnection to the magic within in a situation that's allowing you to connect, that's asking you to move out of the masculine kind of pushing leadership energy and to get more into this vulnerable receiving state. And sometimes that can be a hard transition, because when you've been so focused on, like, let's say, being the provider. Now, for some of you, this could actually be the reverse. I'm just going to say this. We'll see what wants to come out a little bit more as we go. Because with the Queen of Swords comes in, and she is someone who tells her story. She understands what she's gone through, the trials, the tribulations, what she has survived, and she can speak to that. Now, where she can become kind of negative, or where she can be a block, is when our perspective of our own story, of what we've gone through, starts to color the entirety of our experience. Meaning, if we were unlucky in love, then every relationship is doomed. If we had a bad work experience, then every type of work experience that was similar to ours will be bad, or will end in the way that, it could be something like, well, all corporate work environments don't treat their people well and underpay and overwork, that kind of thing. And it's like, but is that really the truth? That's your experience, but that doesn't offer others to come in and give their perspective. And that can be the Five of Swords here, where you're not allowing, you're kind of pushing away everybody else, and you're just saying, this is my stance and this is my perspective, and that's it. And so for some of you, there may be a sense here with the King of Pentacles and the Queen of Swords of either A, there's a sense here where you have kind of maybe a negative, one of two things. Your experience could have been, I need to maintain kind of the level of, I'd say, stability, because definitely King of Pentacles can speak to stability. It can speak to, again, that responsibility of being responsible to the home and the family, or to others. It could be a business owner. But there's a sense of saying, like, almost like, I have to stay in this energy of the King of Pentacles, because if I don't, I might be the one that loses out, like the last, like something happened in the past. And so I got to this king status, and I have to maintain it, because otherwise, if I don't, X, Y, and Z is going to happen. Now, it can also be where, for some of you, there's almost like a father wounding coming in, very possibly, where maybe there has been a dynamic between, like, this could be where maybe you had more of a traditional upbringing where, the father was the one that worked and the mother was the one that stayed home. And that's the story you've told, that's the way it's supposed to be. And maybe now something is changing that in your experience. Maybe now you're being asked to kind of role reverse. There's definitely a possibility there. Or it could be the opposite, where all of a sudden you get the chance to be the stay-at-home parent, and maybe it was the opposite in your family. Maybe the story was women shouldn't just be subject to, being parents at home. They should also be out there living their life and having their career path. And suddenly now you're having to face releasing maybe that career path or the power that you've kind of attained in moving towards something along those lines. And you're like, I don't want to put myself into that place of vulnerability. So now what's interesting is, at the heart of your reading, what Spirit's giving you as advice is the Three of Cups. Now, the Three of Cups is community, it's support, it's those around you who celebrate you. And there's a sense here of, really, I feel, the universe or the divine trying to say, lean into that support, lean into that community. Realize that there are those around you who are willing to share in your success and are going to help you through this process, that are going to help you possibly break through an old story. Or with the Four of Swords and the Queen of Swords, there's definitely, your soul is asking you to really review what that sword is. So you can see the Queen of Swords, right? She holds her sword. That's the sword of truth. But there's a sense here of your soul asking you to put away the pain of the past, so that you can really see that sword of truth clearly. So that when you do take a look at your own story, you can see it more from an empowered place, and perhaps even see something about, maybe, again, your programming that came from either a parent dynamic that you witnessed that became kind of part of your story, or it can be just something, a belief, or again, it can also come from your own experience, like where maybe you were in a more vulnerable place at one point and you had to step up, and again, it's hard to release that. The King of Pentacles also, harnesses the energy of Taurus, and Taurus does like to have control. So there's a sense there of like kind of having to relinquish that control if you move from the king to the queen. But there can also be this sense for many of you, I think, of just switching between the masculine and the feminine and having to almost like make peace with seeing. I'm just trying to hear, like seeing the relationship between masculine and feminine, and maybe telling a different story, which is interesting. Okay, so we have to, there's the Ace of Swords. Okay, yeah. There's that clarity and truth. So on the other side of this, we have the Princess of Pentacles, which is technically the Page of Pentacles, and then we have the Ace of Swords and the Nine of Swords. And then your secondary underlying energy is the Prince of Swords, which is technically the Knight of Swords in this deck. Now, the Knight of Swords speaks to quick communication. This can be the blunt sharing of your truth. It can also be the individual who is curiously going out there to speak on their truth, to see what it's almost like trying to speak your truth to move something forward. Now, the Page of Pentacles, the Princess of Pentacles, this is about getting curious. All of the pages can speak to almost like childlike, innocent energy, where we're being asked to be curious again. We're getting asked to go out there and just to try. There's a sense of gaining experience through direct experience, through hands-on experience. The Page of Pentacles is someone who wants to go out and get their hands dirty and to see what they can do with this little coin that they're taking out into the great world, to say, what can I do with this? It can be a skill set that you're curious to see what you can do more with. It could be a gift of something. Sometimes the Page of Pentacles can also be a messenger or a message from someone, or someone offering a little token of something greater to come. And that can be someone, let's say, offering you a wedding ring, saying, I'd like to get engaged, with the intent to be married down the line. And that could be something coming in for some of you, where there's a sense of maybe a chance to go out into the world with when we think about the Queen of Pentacles and the King of Pentacles, and you kind of it's so strange. I'm trying to there's something that wants to come in here. So I'm going to be quiet for just a minute so I can hear it. What is this relationship between the King and the Queen of Pentacles? All I'm hearing is that it's not right. So Virgo, I don't know what that means. I don't know if maybe it will actually mean something for some of you. I'm going to start to pull some clarifiers here. But maybe there is something with the Ace of Swords. It's almost like you're being asked to go out curiously to kind of work with your environment, which makes sense with the Magician. But it could also be that some of you are getting some information here, that there's like some piece of information that's coming through a messenger. Someone might even be offering you something, a little token of something. And suddenly the Ace of Swords comes in and it's like, ding, clarity. This is clarity. This is reconnection to a truth. This is like somebody coming in and kind of like in your mental plane going, ding, let's turn on the lights. And now the Nine of Swords is the energy of anxiety. This is fear. This is worry. And I think for many of you, there's clarity as to where there's a level of anxiety or fear about changing a dynamic between the masculine and the feminine, kind of mother-father archetypes here. It can also be a fear of going out and trying something new with the Page of Pentacles. There's a sense of like, okay, maybe somebody has just become a new parent and you're like, okay, well, I'll try, let me try my hand at being a stay-at-home parent, or let me try my hand at, maybe it's the other way. Maybe you're becoming, a parent where someone else in your home is going to be the stay-at-home parent and you now are the provider. And there's like, oh my gosh, can I do that? The Queen of Swords could come in and say, well, that's not traditional. That's not, From my experience, I might get burned in this scenario again, something along those lines. And the Page of Pentacles just says, why don't you just try it? Why don't you just be curious? Just see what happens. There's a sense coming through with that. And then it's almost like, and it could even be, this could be somebody in your life doing that, like saying, let's just get married. Let's see what happens, or let's try for another child, or why don't you take some time off and be a stay-at-home parent? Let's have this work. We'll make it happen. And then it's like almost like that's where the truth comes in of, oh my gosh, this is what I've been worried about for so long. This is what I've been it's almost like you're being shown something that I'm feeling here for many of you, a lack of control, that you're facing something in your experience that on a very fundamental level, you've had to put yourself in a position of either power or authority in some aspect because of the pain of the past. And now you might be being asked again to become vulnerable, to kind of stand firm in what you want, but in a way that is that's asking you to kind of think outside the box, that's asking you to change something and to actually be reliant on others. And that can be very difficult. That can be very difficult as far as, saying like, hey, yeah, I do want to, hold space for this business. This doesn't have to be becoming a parent. I'm just using that as an example, but this could be something along the lines of, I do really want to work on my side hustle, and I want to turn this into my main business, going from the Queen of Pentacles to the King of Pentacles. That's what that would be. That's what that would look like. But I need to have the time and the space. I can't just jump into being the King of Pentacles. I need to take a step back and nurture something because it's a part of my dream. And yet, there may be, again, that part of that fear-based part saying, but if I do that, like, what if I'm not successful? What if my business doesn't take off and now my whole family is ruined, because I'm the one that said, I want to not stop working my 9 to 5 and put all my resources into being the Queen of Pentacles. There could be something like that. It's a very interesting energy here, Virgo. This is definitely, like, I did Taurus's reading yesterday and it was a lot clearer, yours. And I think because of the Mercury retrograde and the strong Mercury emphasis, there may be a sense here of just a little bit of that kind of murkiness going on for many of you. Okay, yeah, I get it. 2 of Pentacles, 10 of Swords. Yeah, this is saying for many of you, there's been a level of exhaustion. There's pain wrapped up in just doing the day-to-day. In fact, for some of you, there's a lot of pain involved around kind of bearing the burden of responsibility of supporting others. This can also be where, again, there could be father wounding coming through, where maybe you watched your father kind of take on that responsibility or that wounding, or the lack of. It could be the opposite. And that maybe you had to step up into that role yourself, very much so. It can also be where for some of you, you're realizing now that in maybe trying to achieve a certain level of wealth, a certain level of status, maintain a certain level of, again, financial or just stability and safety in your work environment or in your home environment even, that with the 2 of Pentacles, this is just, again, just getting by, just doing the day-to-day, just doing the routine. There's a lot of juggling involved. And yet the 10 of Swords is a lot of pain, a lot of heartbreak. And for some of you, there might have been a time where you were just kind of juggling like that, where you were trying to just get by, trying to make sure that all those little things were getting done. And there is something here around, I think, either if you're being asked to now step into this energy again, that you're like, no way, that was too much responsibility. I can't handle that. I can't fit that into my schedule. Or it can be something along the lines of, again, I watched my father suffer for the family and he just, devoted his entire life to work, and I don't want to be that person, or I don't want the person in my life to become that person. It can be the opposite, but there's definitely something here. And Virgo, it is interesting. I feel like there's been a lot of parental or father energy coming into your readings. Like that might be the, like what you're actually processing here. Because it can be painful to watch a parent who like had to kind of give up their life for the, for the sake of, almost like overworking for the sake of the family. Or it could be the reverse, where you watched, someone shirk that responsibility and that was very difficult, and that can definitely play into a greater storyline that we have for ourselves. Now with the Queen of Swords, you have incredible energy here. We have the Star, we have the Hierophant, and we have the Page of Swords. The Star is the big guiding hope, dream, leaning into that major principle that we want to have experience in our life. The Star is that grander dream. It's not just a dream, it's the dream. Now the Hierophant speaks to our belief systems. It speaks to it can speak to institutions, things like government institutions, religion, and the laws and the practices we choose to follow, even societal norms. But here, I really get more than anything, there's a belief system here. Now, for some of you Virgos, this could be like your major guiding principle is marriage, or it could be something more spiritually based. But with the Page of Swords coming in, there's a sense here of trying to gain clarity. It's going from the Queen of Swords, where she kind of states authoritatively what she knows about herself, to going back to a place of curiosity with the Page. This is like, you know what? Maybe I need to reevaluate where my belief systems have come from. This could be where you realize your guiding star has nothing to do with the belief systems that were instilled upon you from your parents. And you're like, oh my gosh, I thought I wanted something, but that was because I was just following societal norms, family pressure, or I was doing something specifically because I believed that I couldn't have something else. That could definitely be that as well. And so I think for many of you, it's getting curious as to where your belief systems have been impacted by the Three of Swords, by others in your life, the pain of watching others in your life as well. And where now can you get back to the clarity of what your true star is? What is that guiding principle? What is that hope, that heart's wish for yourself? Three of Cups. Okay, so we have Justice there. Now, the Justice is Libran energy. It's the energy of balance, divine balance and harmony. It's also the energy of the making or breaking of contracts. So there is something here where there could be something where maybe there is a making or a breaking of a contract. It could be, walking away from a job, signing on with a job. It could be a divorce or getting married. And we have the Sun, the Fool, and the Four of Swords. So here comes that Four of Swords again at the heart of your reading. The Sun and the Fool. The Sun is truly someone coming on in your life and turning the light on. This is a true illumination. It's clarity. And there's an illumination as to the Fool, a fresh start, leaping into a new cycle, something new. And I think for many of you, that is going to, with the Justice coming in, there's going to be a major rebalancing. So that could look like, again, at one point, maybe you were the breadwinner and now you have to be the stay-at-home parent. This could be the reverse of that. This could also be where, again, maybe you were always the one so outwardly focused and now you're being asked to be inwardly focused. There could be something along those lines, but there's a sense here of wherever there's been kind of more of an imbalance in your life, there's a rebalancing now. And again, that could be through the making or breaking of a contract. But otherwise, I think for many of you, there's this realization of you're seeing a fresh start. You're seeing what you're being asked to kind of leap with faith into. And that's putting you in this place of like, oh my gosh, like, am I seeing this clearly? Is this what I really want? Is this my truth? Or am I doing what are my motivations? That's really what I'm seeing here is especially with the Page of Swords and the Queen of Swords, there's that sense of like, what are my true beliefs? What are my true motivations? Am I doing this for myself, or am I doing this for my true truth? What do I truly believe myself? And then that's with the Three of Cups. This is where you're being asked to really lean into that support of your community. It can be scary to leap into something new or to go through something where your whole, again, the balance in your life is changing, your role in your experience might be changing. And it's saying there are others that you can lean on. There are others who do want to support you here. Now, for very few of you, the Three of Cups could represent a third-party situation, so keep that in mind. That doesn't necessarily mean that it has to be someone cheating on someone in that capacity. This could be that there is someone else coming in to your experience. It could be a meddling parent. Third party could even be the ghost of the parental dynamic, that's coming in to almost like get in between you and connecting authentically on an emotional level with someone else. This could be a work environment where maybe you've always overworked yourself to the point where you have literally worked yourself to a place of, a low point, to where you were stressed constantly and you didn't get to enjoy your life. And that came in between you and being able to nurture a loving connection, or being able to maybe have a home life experience that you were really looking forward to. So there's a sense here of, I think, really looking to, is there another energy coming into your life experience that you're being asked to release, that's been kind of in the middle between you and authentic connection with others. And then there could be a rebalancing there where you're like, okay, I'm cutting that out. I'm leaping into a new cycle, and that third party energy isn't coming with me. And I'm going to realize how maybe that has been obscuring my own truth. And lo and behold, there comes the clarity. And I think for many of you, there's that realization of, oh my gosh, it can be scary when the lights come on like this and the truth is kind of shown to us, because then it means that, yes, there has to be a change. And it can mean, too, that you might have to tell someone in your life, like, I don't believe that anymore. My dream is this. And, I tried to follow the rules. I tried to follow the traditions, and it's not me. It doesn't fit me. It doesn't fit what I want to nurture in my life experience. And that could be the Page of Pentacles, where you're starting to go out there and maybe test this part of yourself. Two of Wands comes in over here. Yeah, there's a decision to be made of, where do I go from here? It's almost like coming to the fork in the road and saying, which path to take. Or it can also mean, how can I choose to act differently in this next cycle? You may choose to continue down the same path, but you can choose to, how you take action can change. It's one of those things of, if you keep doing the same thing, nothing's going to change. You can move to a new location, you can get into a new relationship, you can get a new job. But if you show up the same way, doing the same things, that same experience will be continued. There's a sense here of really making the choice to do something in a new way, or to finally make that decision to go in a new direction. Now, at the Page of Pentacles, we have the Six of Cups, we have the Nine of Pentacles, and we have the Hermit. And there you are, Virgo. The Hermit is your energy. Now, the Six of Cups is making peace with the past. It can also be getting a gift from the past and bringing it forward through a change in perspective, through making peace with it, if that makes sense. You're seeing the past in a new light. And the Nine of Pentacles is about security. It's about having financial independence. It's also about having enough time to really enjoy the fruits of your labor. And I think for many of you, you might be at this point where you're sitting in a very good spot, and it's almost like you're being asked to go back to a time of innocence, to make peace with whatever. I mean, this can be where maybe there was something very difficult in the past. If this was, let's say, a parental dynamic, and you're like, I just have to finally forgive my father, or I finally just have to forgive my parents, or I have to forgive my ex-boss or my ex-partner. And there's a realization here, I think, for many of you with the Hermit, of really having to go within, find that guiding light within yourself. What do you uniquely shine? That's connecting to the Magician here. What do you uniquely shine out into the world? And how can you start to really look at the level of abundance you have now? And how can you start to go out into the world and enjoy that? How can you be curious now about how your experience, it's almost like, there's a little bit of like a rebirth energy here coming through. Even though you don't have any, like, let's say Ace of Cups, which I generally see as kind of true rebirth, or almost like, wiping the slate clean on an emotional and spiritual level. There's a sense here of going out there with a sense of curiosity as to, okay, if I allow this aspect, if I release some aspect of my story, and I allow myself to really take a look at my belief systems and what is true for me, minus all of the pain of the past or the pain that I've brought into my experiences, then what can I do with what I have? There's a sense of like just realizing that, the Nine of Pentacles can be where we enjoy the fruits of our labor, but it can also be where we're now in a gilded cage where we have been comfortable for so long. And yet the Nine of Pentacles is not the wrap up of a cycle. It's the Ten of Pentacles. And so in order to get to the Ten of Pentacles, you have to leave the comfort and the confines of that Nine of Pentacles situation. And so it can be very difficult to go from the 9 to the 10. Because it means leaving a comfort zone. It means going out with curiosity with just one of those pentacles and saying, okay, what can I do with this? How do I grow this into my true legacy? And I think for many of you, you're realizing just how that directly correlates to something within that you want to shine out into the world. And with the Ace of Swords here, we have Death and the Knight of Swords. And this is you having anxiety over sharing a truth about what no longer serves you, what needs to be released. A part of yourself that has died, figuratively, not literally. This can be where you are telling somebody that, a relationship is over, or you're telling, your parents, I don't believe in that anymore. But there's a sense of bringing, I think, a belief system to an end, and the clarity of something that needs to be transformed, that has maybe long been dead, that's looking to become something new, to transform into something new. And there's a needing to share that. Now, your third underlying energy, yes, is the Tower. Very much so. So the third underlying energy is the shakeup. This is letting the gilded tower, the gilded cage crumble around you to allow for this the individual to have the fresh start, to leap out and kind of join the world again. Now, the tower can represent an individual who is locked in the tower with the devil. And I have been seeing more and more recently the devil kind of being the Three of Swords. This is the individual who, as you're sitting in your tower all alone, kind of cut off from celebrations and from connecting with others and following your dream. This is the person that whispers in your ear, if you go out there, it's not safe. If you go out there, you can't do it. If you go out there and try for something more, you're going to fail. Or it can be, do you really deserve that? Do you really think that that's something for you? And it can be those thoughts that come in that then we stay in the tower, even though we want to leave. And yet it's those voices. And that's what your soul is trying to illuminate for you here. That's why your soul is saying, take time out alone. The Four of Swords is about you having that rest, you finding that sense of rejuvenation, whatever that looks like for you. Whether that is saying, I need the night off to meditate. I need some time just to sit in the morning with my cup of coffee and just go over my thoughts. I need more play in my life where I can just, pick up a creative hobby and just allow my mind to kind of just wander. There's a sense here of having to find alone time to get to that place. And that's what's going to give you that clarity. And that's what's going to allow you to see all those whispering voices in your head that are coming from the devil that have been holding you back from following your dream and from being able to recognize that there's something in your life that has died that you're ready to communicate about. And that's showing you clarity as to the new start, as to what you actually want. What is the new cycle going to be based on? What is that belief system? What is that truth about yourself? And what is that guiding dream? This is a very liberating energy. And I know it kind of might have been a roundabout way. I do feel like the Mercury energy here with my own communication was getting a little muddled. But I definitely can see this is a turning point for many of you. There is a major decision to be made. Oh, and I love it. We have Ascension, the Rainbow Bridge coming in for you here. So I'm going to read the little excerpt from the book. And it's the number 18, which breaks down to the number 9, which is the number of the ending of a cycle. It's the learning of lessons, gleaning that wisdom, and getting ready to start the next cycle, to leap into the new. Okay, so it says, you have been growing spiritually and your consciousness is expanding. It is transforming your experience of the material world from something you must control or conquer into a living expression of the radiant divine. And that sums up exactly what I was trying to get to with the King of Pentacles and the Queen of Pentacles. I think for many of you, there's been a control element for a long time, and you're being asked to relinquish that control. Now it says, as your appreciation and love for the material world becomes more unconditional, so too does the light that can flow into your aura, chakras, and physical body. As you physically expand, you may need more rest, which is the Four of Swords, healing, and meditation. Yes, Four of Swords. So that's your soul is right in alignment with this. It says, than usual, to integrate the increasing degree of light and the consciousness it awakens within you. The rainbow bridge is a term for the channel of light that moves through your chakra system and along your spine, allowing spirit to center your body and stimulate the development of your soul. This bridge comes to life as your consciousness is raised. It draws in higher energies that nourish and awaken your body, mind, and soul through your chakra system. As your chakras become stimulated by the increasing influx of spiritual light, a clearing process begins which supports the consequent expansion of your consciousness. This clearing is like a spiritual detoxification. It clears blocks from your mind, emotional body, and physical body, as well as from your soul, such as unresolved past life issues. As these blocks are broken down and processed, emotional trauma stored in your organs and nervous system can be released and your energy field becomes more spacious. This creates room for an increase of spiritual light. As a result, you feel clearer about who you are and why you are here, and others see you more clearly when they are in your field. You become more powerful. Your energy field continues to clear itself, attracting more spiritual light, becoming more visible beyond physical limits. Others can be supported by your light, even if they cannot see your physical body. You are growing as a light worker and helping humanity in increasing ways while enjoying your own spiritual growth. You are opening to new consciousness now. With this comes new insight, awareness, and an awakening or deepening of your soul talents, such as healing, clairvoyance, channeling, or telepathy. Your channels are being cleared and activated. Rest, open up, and allow. Be patient and trust in your process. If emotional content arises and you are concerned you might be falling back into old habits, do not be afraid. Find ways to express what you are feeling through writing, therapy, dance, music, and art, sound, and conscious movement. Explore your personal expression to allow for spiritual expansion. As Oracle brings an additional message from Spirit, hold on. Ascension can be a wild ride. Anything is possible. The past is not an indicator. The future is not set. This is a moment to cultivate your deepest feelings of spiritual love and peace. Simply allow the genius of life to flow through you in whatever way it chooses. During Ascension, your life can change quite dramatically. The Rainbow Bridge empowers us to rise from one reality into another, even if your outer world doesn't change radically. Internally, you will feel as though you are living a different life. Eventually, the physical world changes will follow. Enjoy crossing the Rainbow Bridge into new consciousness, dear one. You have everything you need. You are ready for this. It is meant to be. And I absolutely believe that for you, Virgo. So I hope you all have a wonderful rest of your day. If you would like to illuminate an area of your life that could use a little clarity and light, please feel free to click on the link below to visit my website to see a list of services that I offer. Otherwise, I will see you all in your next reading. Bye, Virgo.